I mentioned in a previous video that I would be working on a Michael Jackson chapter for my upcoming book because I want to restore his legacy. Too many lies been spread, and even if he has been acquitted, there's still this label attached to him that, in my opinion, just taints everything he did when he was an incredible humanitarian. You're going to hear that in a moment, what I think. Within reason, of course, I'm still working on this chapter, but I said I'll do it. And I meant to start, I think, Sunday. We're now on Wednesday evening. So I didn't get to do it. So I didn't start on it straight away. But I've just sat down today for a couple of hour or so. And I made a start. Now, in that video, I made the point that I've never felt intimidated when I'm writing. But writing about someone so incredible, so iconic, you want to do justice. And I do feel that level of pressure. Of course, when I'm writing, I'm fine. It's just when I'm not writing, I feel the pressure, to perform. I feel he deserves the very best. Now, look, people could be skeptical. I've used my tarot cards. It's insane, the reading. And I've been doing a FaceTime with my daughter all day. We've been talking about other things. She has her tarot cards as well. We do it remotely. She's on FaceTime. And so she's off talking to her friends, and I'm working on my book. And I've asked questions there, like with the book. I've just worked on what I've done. And I just got my cards out and said, is Michael Jackson happy with what I've done so far? And I didn't know what I'm going to get. Now, if anyone's seen my other video, you'll see everything's the biggest part I could say, because I'm not trying to, I don't want to sort of force anybody to believe something. But the one thing I'd say, if you're just going to have a look, is the consistency, because it surprises me to some degree. Like my daughter, completely irrelevant to Michael Jackson. She did her cards. She's got gifts. I'm not going to delve into her gifts. But she asked a question. She got, I think, 3 cards and something on the back of the deck. Then she asked a very similar question. And it wasn't exactly the same, but it had the same, it could have been the same response. So she shuffled and shuffled and shuffled, and exactly the same cards come out and the one at the back. And I said, I'm not even surprised. And she was surprised. And I said, well, why would you be so surprised? Just your guides are giving you the answer. And to be honest, based on what you just said, it's a similar response. Don't be so surprised by the answer they give you. I know it seems insane. And I said to her, the odds it's probably easy to win the lottery. Considering there's a deck, I think there's like 72 cards or 50 something. I think it's 70 something cards. And you get exactly the same cards. 3 come down and the same card on the back. And I've had things like that myself. So it's no longer surprising to me. But again, I don't want to deviate too far, but it's just, So I asked the cards, is Michael Jackson happy with what I've done so far? I got, to my surprise, and it was a surprise because I don't know how he's going to react. I know how my guides react to certain things in my life. So I'm always in alignment. So I expect certain things. Sometimes there's some pushback. So far with Michael Jackson, it's been beautiful. When I did my reading the other day, he trusts me. That came out quite clear and evident. And then I was proud that he trusted me. I was like, oh, this is nice. Then when I thought about it later, when I was in bed and things, I'm thinking about it, and the next day, I'm just thinking to myself, I think it was yesterday or today I was thinking about it. I thought, wait a minute. I don't think he trusted many adults. Because most people betrayed him. You can't trust people. The fact that he trusted me, I thought that was bigger than I thought. It's nice. It was nice initially, but then I thought, wait, this is a big statement. So I've done the question anyway. And then I got the 8 of Cups. So is he happy with what I've done? And that's a wish fulfillment. Go back to the other videos. He wants me to work on this book, this project. I'm already working on a project for my own thing. It's politics, society. But I'm dedicating an entire chapter to Michael Jackson. So, of course, it does cover society, the corruption in society. But what people probably don't realise is I've got this book and I've got a spiritual book. So I've got politics, society to come next. Then I've got a spiritual book to come after. So it's my second spiritual book. And I have other projects in the pipeline that I already started a little bit. And one of them is Icons and Legends. This is before the Michael Jackson thing here. I was already wanting to document certain people from history because people might know their name, they might not know their backstory. And I think it's important because of the legacy they left behind that we don't lose them to history. Because the generation's changing so dramatically now that it's easily forgettable or unrelatable. So I want to make sure that they stay relevant. So I'm going to do a book on it. So I said, I can either put, the intention, of course, was to put it in the next book. But I said, before I even asked the question, I was setting the framework up. I was like, I can either put the chapter in the upcoming spiritual politics society book, or I can do it in the Icons and Legends books when I get around to doing that later. Of course, it's probably a year or two away, that one. I don't know. It might not even see the light of day. I don't know. So anyway, I just mentioned that. Then I said, does Michael Jackson want his chapter in the Politics and Society book? And I got the page of wants, which is an enthusiastic yes. Like, he wants it, yes. That's exciting. And yeah, and he had a childlike innocence to him, and the pages are innocent. They're children. It's the nights are like teenagers, and it goes up in advancements. But yeah, so I thought that's makes sense. Again, I don't want to I think it's important for transparency. I could have just jumped straight into this, left the spiritual side out, just focused on the book of the chapter, because I know people who are not spiritual, they don't want to hear it. But you know what? This is my life. This is where we're up to. I'm doing this. I'm not asking for any recognition or anything. I'm just freaking out. I'm doing this for him. I don't get anything out of it. It's just I'm taking the time out. I'm going to do this for him. He deserves it. So anyway, we're going to hear what I've wrote so far. And look, again, I've only just done it today. There's parts that I will change. But again, I've asked him, is he happy with it? I've got the 8 of Cups. I've tinkered slightly with some bits. So it could change just briefly. It could change a little bit. But again, there's no point me asking him every time I make a change. Because I don't like to bother spirits and even my guides. But yeah, I don't want to bother him with every little thing. But it's incredible. And I kid you not, like me and was it when I was reading that? Yeah, because I read what it is. So before I asked him if he's happy with it, I'd already read to my daughter, but I added some after. So when I added some after, I asked. But before I did all that, I'd done about 700 words or so. I've done 1,000 now, so I've added about 300 words. But I'd done about 700 when I said to my daughter, I'm going to read to you what I've done. She was really impressed. I changed a little bit after. But when I was reading it, there were certain parts I got massive goosebumps and chills all around me. And I thought, okay, so I'm doing something right here. Now, look, there could be some things wrong at the moment. I might have some dates wrong. Sometimes I'm writing things in here specifically because it's a placeholder, because I'll read it back later and I'll go, oh, that needs more added to it. But at least it's there. If I don't add a little bit at the minute of something, then I might forget to even go near it. So one thing I want to make a point here, I haven't covered the depth of his concerts yet, because even when I watch them on video, like it's mesmerizing, the energy you get there. But how he brings people together, I've touched slightly, but I want to go deeper with that. And of course, there's going to be other aspects of his life. What I don't want to do, and I haven't done yet, and I don't intend to go too far, is I don't want to go down the path of spending a chapter talking about all of the accusations. I've touched on it, but I don't intend to end the chapter on it, because I think you have to for transparency. But the reason what I'm doing with this chapter specifically, it's the last chapter in the book. And there's a reason I'm putting the last chapter of the book, because it's going to be the last thing people read when they shut the book. If I start at the beginning, you might forget about it by the time you got to the end of the book. Of course, it's there. You can go and refresh it. Put it at the end. It's the last thing people are thinking about when they get to the end of the book. And I think that's really important. But maximum impact is what I say. There was something I was going to say with that. Anyway, yeah, there's things missing so far that I've not covered. I'm making sure I'm going to get around to some point. But like I say, I've purposely touched on the topics early, and then the intention is to go more positive towards the end. Because again, I don't want this to be a piece where we're just talking about the negatives, and that's we're still sitting there debating it. It's about, like, let's point towards all the beautiful things he did in this world, and the connections he had, and the sacrifices he made, and his resilience and everything. You're going to get a brief glimpse of this, but like I say, I want the second half to be more beautiful. I don't know how big the chapter is going to be. Hopefully we can do it justice and make it quite in depth, but we'll see. But again, I'll always ask him if he's happy with it, and then when I've finished, are you happy that this is finished? And of course, if I get an answer saying no, and I'll be like, okay, so I need to go back and do some more. It's fine. But again, we're only 1,000 words, so we're not expecting a masterpiece. If anyone is, it's crazy. I've only just started working on it today for the best part of maybe an hour or two. And when I say an hour or two, I've got my daughter yapping in my ear at the same time with a friend on the other side of her doing a FaceTime with me. We're talking to multiple people on FaceTimes, and I'm trying to work at the same time. I decided I want to listen to some Michael Jackson while I do it. It's inspiring. I've got the volume going up and down. Every time she talks, it starts to make my sound worse, and I'm thinking, yeah. But I'm working around it, so multitasking over here, So anyway, so what I'm going to do, I can't. Look, I'm doing it on a MacBook. I'm doing it on a laptop. I do my videos on a computer, so I don't have the. I mean, I could if I really wanted to. I could send the file to my computer and mess about, but I don't really want to. So what we're going to do is use a camera. You can see here. look, you ain't gonna see it word for word like I'm doing, but at least it gives it some make it the video a little bit more interesting when we've got two things going on at once. So anyway, let's get further ado. Let's just get on with it. This is the draft of the Michael Jackson chapter in my upcoming book. Again, draft, still work to be done, and things to correct if there's a mistake, of course. When considering greatness, few would consider music artists. However, aside from Jesus, I consider Michael Jackson the next most inspiring and beautiful human to ever have existed. His music transcends generations, with masterful lyrics and compositions consisting of overlapping beats and exquisite creativity. Then we hear his incredible vocals, witnessing the best there ever is or was. Michael was a generational talent, perhaps even a rarity never to be experienced again. He was that good. A superstar breaking sales records, selling out arenas, and being the most recognized person on the planet during the height of his fame. Surprisingly, fame never got to Michael's head. It never made him lose sight of the world around him, or the desperations and plight others suffered, especially children. Michael Jackson transcends being a musician by being a significant humanitarian, elevating his status above mere mortals. When he went on tour, at every stop, he always made time to visit a local children's hospital, spending time with the children, handing out gifts and bringing joy. Unlike many others who broadcast everything, quite often to gain popularity for humanitarian work, Michael did much of his humanitarian work in private. Some would have only been privy to his schedule when watching live tour videos, such as Michael Jackson's 1992 Live in Bucharest, The Dangerous Tour. Much of Michael's legacy was tainted by a witch hunt, vilifying him as a paedophile, which wasn't true, and many who spent time with him, including children, continue to vouch for him, pleading his innocence. In 2005, he was found innocent of all charges against him, yet people still hold the accusations against him, using them as ammunition to taint and ruin his legacy. No one deserves to have their life ruined by lies, especially someone with such a pure heart. What we witnessed was the most famous person on the planet brought down by a corrupt system intent on protecting predators such as Jeffrey Epstein, and using Michael Jackson as a scapegoat because, instead of harming children, he spent his life protecting them. I'm getting goosebumps, so I'm going to verify that if I get things like that. A misunderstanding about the 2,700-acre Neverland Ranch he had built in Santa Barbara, California, featuring theme park rides and all manner of fun entertainment that he and his guests enjoyed, provided a haven and a respite from the pain and abuse children suffered, especially those in the entertainment industry. Naming the ranch Neverland was a clear nod to Michael seeking to be Peter Pan-like, innocent, never wanting to grow up into an adult, with the same corruptions many live with. Instead, he wanted to spend time where he felt safe, with children. Their innocence is infectious and their whimsy is fun, something sorely lacking in most adults. Michael rose to fame when he was young, so he didn't have an ordinary childhood like everyone else. Instead, he had adult expectations placed upon him, and I've seen some videos where Michael Jackson recounts his home life, where it wasn't the warmest, perhaps even abusive. I'm not going to go into those details. However, the mere mention of it should be enough to showcase how he would prefer to spend time around children who wouldn't hurt him, rather than adults who would. It's been documented that many people exploited him through business dealings, resulting in substantial losses. Again, due to his childlike nature, he was perhaps too naive to handle the business side of the entertainment industry, at least during specific periods of his career. He would eventually go on to leave his record label Sony, which by his own admission made more than $1 billion through his name and work, and he reported that he would have 50% ownership of the company. Something that would maybe have been his downfall. After all companies don't seek to relinquish power, nor do they accept losing substantial amounts of money. Nothing can ever be certain, and these accusations could be as absurd as the witch hunt against Michael. But in this instance, the timing and circumstances raise questions about what really happened to him. The media were quick to turn on Michael for headlines. A notorious interview with Basher in February 2003, living with Michael Jackson, hurt him deeply, with outrageous accusations and deeply personal questions which were unnecessary, causing distress with callous intentions. It's worth questioning who owned the media, from newspapers to radio stations and TV broadcasters. Connect the dots to garner their intentions towards harassing and ruining Michael's character and legacy. The documentary led to Michael's child molestation arrest, but in 2005 he was cleared and acquitted. In the interim, within weeks of Basher's interview, Michael aired a rebuttal documentary revealing the truth, and that content was removed from the other agenda-led piece. Basher contradicted himself by praising Michael as a father. Oh, wait a minute, I've got to tell you that. By praising him as a good father. I've got to change it. I'm going to have to get the quotes for it, of course. So Basher contradicted himself by praising Michael as a good father and applauded him for opening up Neverland for children, while previously stating that Neverland was a dangerous place for children. With contradicting statements, it's evident that Basher changes his statements lacking consistency or authenticity. After Michael died in 2009, Basher stated that he never witnessed Michael doing anything inappropriate with children and didn't believe he had taken part in any criminal activity. However, for it to take him that long to tell the truth says much about them. Michael never forgave Basher for his dishonest documentary, with many quips about him during subsequent interviews. Reports suggest that Michael donated in excess of $500 million to charities and good causes, displaying a genuine desire to invest in the healing of humanity. His song, Heal the World, always hits a chord with me, breaking barriers between culture, politics, religion, geography, or any other differences, addressed simply as humans without labels to distinguish between one another. It's a powerful song bringing people together, providing hope and healing to the world. Not only was he a philanthropist, I can't even say it myself now, I can write it but I can't say it, philanthropist, but Michael was also a healer who brought humanity together. When we think of him, it's only natural to reminisce and enjoy his music. But it shouldn't be forgotten that he as a person was so much more than that. And that says something. For his music goes down in history as some of the best, if not the best. After all, Michael Jackson's recognised as the king of pop, and it's unlikely that will ever change. Now, the thing is, I don't want to have to go too deep into keep talking about negative things. That's not really where I want to go, but it's going to be spoken about, so you're better off just addressing it here, So if I did a whole piece ignoring all that, it still doesn't really answer the question, does it? So that's why it's important I address it, and then I'll do a counter argument to it. And I'm going to provide statements. That's what we haven't got yet. This is just my take so far. We've still got more to go. I've got all sorts of things. One argument I would make, and I've said before, is, oh God, I'm forgetting names now. It's gone right out of my head. Corey Feldman. Corey Feldman's someone that's very outspoken, and I'll cover this in here. Very outspoken about his past, the fact that he was abused when he was like in his teenage years. I'm not sure if he was younger than that, but either way, in the entertainment industry, as he's doing his movies, he spent time with Michael Jackson, and he's always spoken up against those who abused him. But he's always asserted that Michael Jackson never did anything. He was just there to help people. And for someone to be that outspoken and protect someone else, it would make no sense for him not to call him out if he did something. So I think that says a lot. And I think the real thing is, it's hard for adults to understand the psyche of someone who struggles to be an adult, who all they want is their childhood back. So it's easy to prejudge someone because you'd consider some behaviors abnormal. But just because it's not normal for you doesn't mean it's not normal for someone else. And when now we're seeing all the abuses and atrocities that have happened over the years that went under the radar. Why? Because, again, all we've got to do is follow the trail. Who owns the newspaper companies? Who owns the radio stations? And who owns the TV? I think I did newspaper first. Newspaper, radio, TV. Because a lot of the time they own both. A TV broadcaster, for instance, they often own the freaking newspaper. So who's running the media? And what political alignment do they have? Who are they protecting? All of a sudden, there's a nefarious intention, and there's someone that's a target. Why? Because Michael Jackson stood on his own. Again, I'll cover things like that here within the book. I just haven't got around to writing it yet. He stood on his own, so it was easy to sort of come up with articles, and the fact that he spent his time with children created a narrative, didn't it? Made him a simple target, while they hid all their sick games and used him as the scapegoat. That's really what happened, isn't it? But we're not going to go too deep. I want to go on it, but I don't want to go like mental where we're just talking about it all the time because there's so many beautiful things. I've seen a video where he was playing, having so much fun with, I think it was he said it was his cousins or his nephews. I can't remember exactly now. He had Macaulay Culkin. I think it was his brother, Kieran Culkin. I think it's Kieran, is it? I mean, that's just one example. And there's going to be many other examples and statements. And that's really what I want to get at. I want to get at the core of it. The joyful, youthful energy he had. The fact that he was this mega superstar who fame didn't get to their head. You know, you see so many famous people. Look at Beyonce. She walks through a stadium when you go into the Super Bowl thinking like she's a queen and thinking like everybody's like she's royalty and no everybody's beneath her. Michael Jackson didn't behave like that. He had class. So it's completely different. And I think it's easy to think because he did the way he was that it's normal that everybody else would do that. Most people are greedy. Most people are entitled. And most people want fame. They want status. And it's quite sad. He didn't seek those things. You know? And I think it shows in his songs. What I love about his songs, me personally, is the diversity within them. You know, we've got some songs that have a clear upbeat. They've got different beats. It makes you want to move. It makes you feel the music. Yeah, he's even got one that says something like that. And then we've got songs that, for me, are really, really beautiful. Like I like all his range. So I like the fun dance music, the things that are a bit more poppy. Then I like the ones that are beautiful, a bit like Childhood. Have you seen my childhood? I mean, I can't sing, but you know what I mean. It's very soft tone, and he's got a few like that. Speechless is one of my favourite songs as well. I listened to it on repeat a while ago, like ages ago. And there's so many songs, you know. But so we've got really calm, soothing songs that are really beautiful with his tones. Then we get the upbeat ones where he does this crossover with the beats. It's just mental. You listen and you go, this is a master stroke of genius. And then we get some really beautiful healing songs. The two obviously standout ones. We've got Heal the World, and then we've got the Earth song. Those two stand out. But I think there was a couple of others I really liked as well that went a bit under the radar. I haven't got the song list with me. Yeah, I can't. It'll be too much hassle trying to get it all up, to be totally honest. But anyway, they're two beautiful examples, aren't they? He could have just gone down the path of just doing like beat music. That were the ones selling. That's the pop stuff. But he wanted to be more than that. He wanted to make a change. So he wrote songs that are incredibly inspiring and powerful. And I think they're beautiful. So Heal the World, from my understanding, was the Dangerous album, which I think is it? I might have the dates wrong. I don't know if it's 1992 or whether it's the late 80s. I can't be sure when that released. Because I know the tour I watched was 1992, so I'm assuming he released it that same year, but he might have released it before. Either way, Heal the World was before the accusations against him. Earth Song come out after the initial accusations, because the initial accusations, from my understanding, was 1993, but it was only once we had this Bashaw interview that things escalated quickly, and we had the amplified really. But again, we've got to go through all these things, but it just taints a legacy of someone I think is quite remarkable. And I know, as I've said there, and I know it's a big statement to make, and maybe I'm forgetting people from history that have done incredibly remarkable things. But you take away the music and look at what he did, the way he's helping children. You know, he's given a safe haven to them. He's literally built a place for them to have peace and sanctuary, you know. And then goes out of his way to give gifts to those in need, those suffering, children suffering around the world. That was his aim. And I think there's some things that maybe I'm not even aware of that I'm going to uncover. I'll document too. What a beautiful human being. And I said this before. He was I haven't even spoke about it there, but Jesus was persecuted. Look at Michael Jackson. You often find that those who are incredibly remarkable, they went through some real deep hardships. And, you know, for me, he shouldn't have suffered like this. He suffered his whole life. Entertainment industry at a young age, you know, you don't get your childhood. I spoke about that in the other video I did. All he wants is his youth back. And then he recognised that other children deserve to have their childhoods. No one should destroy someone's childhood. So he wants to give someone positive memories. There's so many layers to it, you know. And that's what I'm saying. I think he deserves to have his legacy restored. He was acquitted, but you still get the stupid jokes out there. I don't know if you're ever going to eradicate all of the argument against, because there's some people that just got their head in the clouds and they just like that for the fun of it. You know, they've got no soul. They're just assholes, to be totally honest. So you can't obviously make everybody see the reality, but I'm doing my best to make sure that my book, hopefully they're generational. I'd like to think they will be, but who knows? Hopefully they help people in the present, future. And like I said in the other video, if they help in the future, then alongside Michael Jackson's records, they will hear my narrative towards him. Because it's really hard for people to defend themselves. You can, but people always question it. It's more it's more powerful when people speak for you, speak up for you. And I'm not saying people haven't in the past, but I'm going to do my bit because I think justice needs to be restored, and he deserves to go down in history as one of the most remarkable people that have existed. Not just a musician, king of pop. People already admire his music. But I personally think he was far more than his music, and that says something because his music's incredible. So yeah, I'm doing my part over here. Like I say, only early in. I mean, I've said things there that I haven't even written the book yet, so I've got to remember the things I say, remember where I'm going with it. And like I say, the pressure, I feel pressured. I feel immense pressure to do this because of what it means. All my other, like my books are personal journey. They're going like even explaining my trauma. It's the personal growth. It's my spiritual activation, sharing my spiritual journey, maybe tools to help other people on theirs. So my books have been really just me sharing parts of me, and I just give that away. It's like I want to empower people. Like in this instance, it's probably the first time where I'm trying to document someone specifically, and I want to do them justice. Yeah, I don't want to add layers of shame or anything because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to sort of glorify his name because he deserves it. And I'm not someone who makes grand statements for no reason. I know it's easy for it might seem absolutely outrageous for me to consider him. You could even say the next coming of Christ to a degree, can't you? I mean, I revere him, so I think he is. I just can't think of many people. I mean, like I say, I don't know every historical figure for every generation and era. But even if we just said the last 100 years, who's done what he's done on such a grand level too? He was on a massive platform, created and he shows, he just made everybody just like pine for him. And like a lot of people say, we didn't even have social media back then. And he's humble as hell. And he really cared about people. And do you really see other people get to that level of fame and genuinely care to the same degree? A lot of them are fake. I'm not saying, a lot of them, they do things for likes nowadays. They do things for likes, for clicks. So it's sad. So if someone was doing something similar to Michael Jackson in the entertainment industry, it's questionable whether they're genuinely doing it or whether they're doing it for to gain something. Yeah, I'm not going to call people out. I could easily come up with a name there because it drives me crazy. Someone I don't trust, but I don't want us to be a piece about that. Let's keep it on track. That's what I've done so far. Within the space of like an hour or two, it's it's not been a huge piece. And then like I say, I'm going to have to spend some time digging and getting like quotations because that's going to be really important. That's important for any piece of work you do, especially when you're highlighting someone's life. We need to back things up. So when I make a statement, I know the statement's true. I've just got to find the evidence to back that statement up. And then we'll go. It's a bit like where I've said Sony, it's a bit nefarious. I need to find the timelines for it because I haven't delved. I think it's potentially a 4-month window when he left Sony and did other things. It might be longer. I mean, so I need to find that dates, don't I? I need to know the exact date range, and I need to know like the terms and things, and I'll dig for those informations because it's quite nefarious. I think personally, company had an awful lot to lose, and we lost someone special, and I'm getting sick and tired of losing people special because people care about is money. To protect themselves, that person's collateral damage, and that for me is disgusting. Now, I'm not saying they definitely did it, but question marks remain. And we'll see as I dig deeper and try and figure that one out. Because to be totally honest, it's not hard for me to figure it out, is it? I can just ask him. I'm not doing it here. I could sit there and ask loads of questions on camera, but I'm not going to keep doing it. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. People can see the video. You know what I mean? I'm not going to broadcast every little thing I do and every interaction I have. It's like, this is personal between me and them. What people think of me or whatever is irrelevant. I don't care. But yeah, I'll ask him when I want to ask him because then I know I'm going down the right path anyway. So if I think this is right, what do you think? Yeah, I know where to go digging. Okay, so I'm going to go dig in that direction. So, for instance, if I was to ask him, do you think Sony had anything to do with your passing? And I get an emphatic no. What waste of time digging there, innit? What's the point? I might as well just let it go. If I get a yes or a maybe, it's like, well, okay, we'll have a little look. So yeah, there's layers, of course, like I say. But anyway, I hope people found that interesting enough. I don't want to sort of like keep harping on and going on like a crazy person. I've done what I planned to do. I'm happy I've made progress. I'm happy I started at least. Didn't want to keep putting it off. Time's 222 now. Can't show you because my phone's in 12-hour mode, but if you've got a 24-hour clock, 22, 22. That's interesting. Angel numbers. If anyone's interested in that. Just trying to think now. I think that's a wrap, personally. Yeah. No, there's no timeline for this book, by the way. I would say it's a mess. I've never had this many chapters. I've got to go through it all and figure out what I've done because it's a work in progress. It's been going on for a while. Some of the work in the book was from transcripts, from videos I've done, so it's work to do there. This Michael Jackson chapter is nothing. Obviously, it's nothing like that. I've never pre-planned it. I'm working straight off myself, blank page, go for it. But what I'm saying is that because that book is part of a bigger body of work, even like that chapter will be finished. And I don't think it will take me too long, but it can't see the light of day until the rest of the book's done. So the plan is July-ish of this year, but it really depends how my year goes. It depends how hard I'm working on the rest of the book. It could get pushed back. The last book did get delayed. The one that's just come out in January. Realistically, I could have had it done mid last year, and I kept putting it off. I didn't really want to keep sacrificing for it. I've been sacrificing so much recently, very little gain. I'm getting exhausted. So I'm thinking, I want time for me now. I need a rest. I'm not going to keep doing. There's enough, from my point of view. If you take the book away from the image to the right there, for me, there was enough body of work. Do people desperately need that book and not wait? And then I wrote the book, read it, and I think, I don't say things like that. I think it's a masterpiece. I love it. Very much personal growth. It will empower people. I don't like promoting, so you won't hear me talk about it that much. But yeah, I'm really proud I did it, but it was delayed. Now, I do feel a pep in my step because I don't want to let Michael Jackson down now. So this book coming out, I don't expect it to have delays just because I want to honour him. I've promised that I'll get the book done. I've promised I'll write the chapter. I don't break promises. So it's going to get done. And it requires a level of sacrifice from me to honour him. And that's what I'm doing. Anyway, that's the progress. I don't think I'll share any more updates on the chapter. I don't see the point of me keep going on updates as and when I do it. No, I might as well just do it now. I've said enough there. It's still plenty to do. But yeah, I just thought I'd show the progress really.